Yo! What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about the plot and its parts. A plot is the sequence of interconnected events that make up the story in a narrative. Whether it's in a book, film, play, or other forms of storytelling. It is essentially the what happens in a story and how the events are organized to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. The plot typically includes the introduction of characters, the setting, the central conflict or problem, and the various events that lead to a climax and ultimately to the resolution of the story. It's the framework that guides the reader or audience through the beginning, middle, and end of the story, ensuring that the narrative flows logically and keeps the audience engaged. In summary, the plot is the structured arrangement of events that forms the storyline, driving the narrative forward and giving it meaning and direction. Now that you know what a plot is, let us talk about its parts. There are 5 main parts of a plot. The first one on the list is exposition. Exposition is the part of a story where the groundwork is laid for the main plot. It is typically found at the beginning of a narrative and serves several important functions. The exposition introduces the main characters, providing basic information about who they are, their relationships, and their motivations. This helps the audience get to know the characters and understand their roles in the story. The exposition establishes the setting, which includes the time and place in which the story occurs. This helps create the story's atmosphere and gives context to the characters' actions. It also includes background information that is essential for understanding the story. This might involve explaining past events, the world in which the story is set, or the situation that the characters find themselves in. Sometimes, the exposition also hints at or directly introduces the main conflict or problem that the characters will face. This sets the stage for the plot to develop and gives the audience a sense of what the story will be about. Number 2, we have rising action. This part of the plot develops the conflict or problem. It includes a series of events that build up tension and lead to the climax. Introduces obstacles or complications that the characters must deal with. The rising action keeps the story engaging and increases the stakes for the characters. The rising action introduces and elaborates on the central conflict or problem that the characters must face. This conflict can be internal, within a character, or external, between characters or with outside forces. During the rising action, the story becomes more complex as new obstacles, challenges, and complications arise. These events make it harder for the characters to achieve their goals, thereby increasing the stakes. Number 3 is climax. The climax is the turning point of the story. It is the moment of greatest tension, where the conflict reaches its peak. It forces the main character to make a crucial decision or take decisive action. The outcome of the climax determines the direction of the rest of the story. The climax is the most intense, exciting, or important part of a story. It is the turning point where the main conflict reaches its peak, and the outcome of the story hangs in the balance. The climax is the moment when the tension that has been building throughout the rising action is released, and the direction of the story is determined. The fourth one is falling action. The falling action shows the consequences of the climax. It ties up loose ends and begins to resolve the story's conflicts. Eases the tension and starts to bring the story towards its conclusion. It shows how the characters are dealing with the aftermath of the climax. So basically, it is the part of a story that occurs after the climax, leading toward the story's resolution. It serves to resolve any remaining conflicts, answer unanswered questions, and guide the narrative towards its conclusion. During the falling action, the tension decreases, and the story begins to wrap up. The last one is resolution, or denouement. The resolution is the conclusion of the story. It wraps up the narrative and provides closure, resolves the remaining conflicts, answers any lingering questions, and shows how the characters have changed or what they've learned. It is the final part of a story where the main conflict is resolved, and the narrative comes to a close. It provides closure to the story by addressing the outcomes of the characters' actions and tying up any loose ends. The plot is the heart of any story, providing the framework that organizes and drives the narrative. It's the sequence of events that unfolds over time, engaging the audience by creating tension, developing characters, and leading to a resolution. The plot structure, typically including the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution, ensures that the story progresses logically and emotionally, keeping the audience invested from beginning to end. A well-crafted plot not only entertains but also deepens the impact of the story's themes and messages. Whether you're analyzing a classic novel, enjoying a blockbuster movie, or crafting your own tale, understanding the elements of a plot is essential for appreciating the art of storytelling.